So I found myself jobless twice within 18 months of being a mother. If you can afford to pay for that village, pay for that village. If you want something getting done, ask a busy mother. If you're providing a service, you're going to get paid for it as long as you do a good job. If we want more women to own businesses, we've got to talk about the motherhood penalty. I'm actually really keen to get my kids into performing. It builds confidence. Fatigue is a thing, and I don't want to have too much of that with my clothes. It's quite inspiring to know when it's time to walk away from something.
Life is short. If you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to do it.
Excellent.
Welcome to Coffee and Oysters, the London Business Babe podcast, where we get you together with the business tips that actually work and where it's worth tapping your oyster around the city. I'm Frances, your host, a certified Notion consultant and founder of the Notion Bar, where I get my clients together with personalized productivity systems built in Notion that let you finally ditch those clunky spreadsheets. My systems-loving girlies who are tired with suffering with Notion alone. Every month, I host the Big Notion Energy Academy, where you have the chance to ask me, a Notion expert, your burning questions and unpack Notion's new releases. This week, it is the first week back in January, and I am working on circling back. And I think next year I need to take some time off into this part of the year specifically. I don't really get proper time off during Christmas. I just need to plan this better for myself next year. So circling back with new clients, which is a good thing, and seeing where that goes. I've also decided that this year is my year to exist, which I kind of go into in the episode. And I'm just going to have a bit more fun. This past weekend was really cool. I got to see some family out in Somerset and also see my friends out in the Shires. So that was nice to connect with people before the hard reality of the year kicks. But it was also cool. In London, I went to Joya in Battersea Power Station with a friend. It is a bit bougie in there, but a hack you can do is have a cup of tea at the bar. You still get the same views as everyone else, the same vibes as everyone else, but you're only paying like £4. That is pretty much my hack for going anywhere fancy. Order a pot of tea because you get multiple pours and maybe a dessert if I'm feeling a little bit cheeky. So would really recommend Joya in Battersea. Before we dive into our amazing guest, it's time to shout you out. If you're signed up to the Substack, details in the show note, every other Monday you receive a Manifest Monday email. You can shout out your projects and dreams to be featured here on the show. This week, I am shouting out myself. I just have a really good feeling about this year and where this podcast is going to lead us. Sable Lab, Sabrina Elba's brand, commented on one of the clips on social media. Something that I think I'm going to carry on doing is tagging the brands that guests mention on the show within the comments. That will hopefully help spread the word, and you never know, one of those brands could be a sponsor in the future. So that is something that I'm going to be working on. Before today's interview, housekeeping. The show notes are your best friend. It's where you can sign up to become a guest and see all the recommendations in the Coffee and Oysters guide. Let me know, am I screaming into a void? If you're following along on Substack, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., wherever you get your podcasts, get involved. Rate us 5 stars, comment, like, shares the likes. Now grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and let's get into today's show. Incredibly excited this week to introduce Caroline Marshall, who is the founder of the multi-award-winning virtual assistant agency Upsource, a community of VAs who provide business, executive, and virtual assistants. Caroline transitioned to the virtual assistant industry in 2016, firstly employed as a VA, and then ultimately launched her own agency in July 2020. Her personal experience of motherhood, the workplace, redundancy, the pandemic, furlough, and finding freedom with starting her own business has led her on the path of creating a podcast, Bump to Business Owner, to share the stories of other founders who are also mothers. Welcome to the show. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. A nice way to ease ourselves into return to work, isn't it, in January?
So for anyone listening to this in the future, this is happening the first week of the new year, and we were just saying how we both tried to like kick things off yesterday with a bang, but it didn't quite happen. So we go again today.
Going again. I feel, I need a hype woman, Frances, be that for me.
Amazing. I feel like the virtual assistant world has popped up in the past few years or so. Like it's always existed, but I feel like it's really made some noise, essentially. How was your journey into that?
Yeah, it's definitely been around a while. I know businesses, VA businesses that have been doing, coming up 20 years in some form now. I started my business in 2020, but I've entered the industry in 2016. So next year will be my 10-year anniversary, which is crazy. It really has made more noise. I think the demand for understanding our roles as an assistant industry, as a business support service, we've been really shouting about ourselves more with the help of social media and getting more respect and growth in what we do and understanding of what we do. So there's the communication piece on our side, but I think also this realization with virtual work, not everyone needs to be employed full time or in your office part-time, and you can be more flexible with what your team looks like. And there are real benefits to outsourcing at people outside of your core team and bringing people on in your early days, depending what stage you are at. So yeah, we're finding a need for our services in all ranges of businesses. It's not just people who aren't ready to employ yet. It's like part of your team. There's an employed model and the hybrid model of employed and self-employed and agencies and services. My background was EA, PA, and then I went into the industry in 2016, got made redundant from the agency I was working at. I didn't want to be a VA again, never going to do it again. And then COVID happened and I was like, I'll be a VA again.
Classic. And what sort of businesses were your first clients?
A plumber, he was really fun actually. I liked my plumber.
Okay.
And I worked with fintech, content marketing agency, and tech startups. And I think the startup vibe was the thing that really got me. I just really loved. I was working with some young founders who were really giving it a go. They were like nice people. I thought it was really exciting that people were going and like trying these things and building businesses, and they kind of came to me in lots of different ways. Some I would do everything from really giving them coach and guidance. They're like bouncing ideas off me, and others it would be more transactional or more like making their lives just better while they were on this founds journey. They just really respected my role. That's what I loved about the transition from VA from EA and PA. They chose to work with me. I wasn't just something that came as part of their role and they were not sure how to use me in the right way and didn't respect it. So it was great. And now it's been a real transition with my business Upsource. We are an agency model ourselves, so I no longer do the doing. I lead the team. I support clients from a perspective of helping them work in the best way with their VAs. We have clients that have been with us for 4 years and their business has changed. So I also support how their support looks, how things have changed in their business, how we can support them moving forward. But yeah, so we mainly work now a lot with SMEs, startups, scale ups, a whole range of clients really. It keeps it interesting. We have lots of different sorts of VAs on the team, whether they're more from a traditional background or an operational background. I see that's a lot of where our roles are going within our industry as well, especially when the scale up and startups, is that EAs, we wear many hats. It happens in-house as well when they're like having to make redundancies and the EAs pick up the work. And there may be things like client onboarding, team onboarding, supporting clients from an admin perspective, but also bringing in the tools they need, whether it's like so Francis, I know you do a lot of Notion, task management tools. That's an area we really thrive on, and that's what I think makes us stand out and also a part of where our roles are going in the future.
Yeah, 100%. And I love how you're involving your journey with motherhood in your personal branding as well. I have seen being a VA as quite a popular option for new mums at the moment because it is just so flexible. You can sort of choose your hours, or is that kind of a myth?
Yeah, no, you're right to an extent. I'm always kind of the realist in the room when I think there's a misconception occasionally. Some will be like, oh, this is the answer. I don't need childcare. I can do some admin in the evening. I think the reality is, for an agency like ours, our clients don't pay a rate for having admin done in the evening. You can outsource that super cheaply abroad if that is literally just want to delegate data input, something like that. It's very different work. You can choose your hours, but normally with clients, it all comes down to communication, like what days you're going to be working, what hours you're going to work, and what the level of support a client needs and what sort of market you are. So a lot of ours tend to have at least 4 days, so like their VA around for 4 days per week, which is more flexible than a lot of in-house roles. It's always about communication, but it's also that balance of like, we're not a solution to being able to work. Childcare is still very much needed, which I know is really hard. Like, very passionate about talking about motherhood because we have a lot to deal with right now with the cost of childcare and the fact that 50% of the household load is still falling on women. We are a fantastic role to have if you are looking for something more flexible to use your skills and to be valued in your work. You can definitely do this work, making sure within solid plans of how you're trying to map out your week. But it's not something you can just do around the children, because I also think work is work. That's why I'm so passionate about talking about this, because it's so complex when you've become a founder, a business owner, as well as a mother. The whole reason I started Upsource was because I got made redundant after my first child at the other agency I was working for. Then I was working for a business that was mainly in person, and I couldn't go there once COVID hit. So I found myself jobless twice within 18 months of being a mother. It speaks volumes that I was a mother, and I didn't go out and job hunt because I was like, who's going to hire me? I'm stuck at home. Who's going to hire me? I was pregnant again with my second. So I was literally pregnant. So my business and my motherhood journey have been so intertwined, and so are others. And it's like, it might be they've had a business before and then they're entering. I've spoken to many business owners as well who aren't mothers yet, and they're really wondering, how on earth can I do this? And they're worried about their ambition because they get told they're not going to be as ambitious when they become mothers. And I think this is why I'm keen to keep this conversation going for the next generation of mothers. And also because I think people think with home working, it's a lot better now. And it's not. If you're speaking to mothers who are in it in the early years, it's not better now. There's a lot of work we've got to do, equity to be made for us. So that's why I'm very passionate about this, and do speak about motherhood a lot and speak to other mothers and their business journeys, because if you want something getting done, ask a busy mother.
You make time. Like, I have older siblings and cousins and things. I don't have kids, and I'm like, how on earth would I fit a kid into this lifestyle? But then you see other people who've done it, and I think you just make time somehow. Like, there are somehow more hours.
You ruthlessly prioritize. I think you don't have time to waste it on things that you would have done before. But I'm hugely about self-care, and when I say that, it's like, we're not super women, we're not all running around, and I don't believe in martyring myself to serve others, because I'm of no service to anyone with that. So I've been on a whole self-care journey with that as well, and that's what I'm hugely passionate about speaking about as well.
Yeah. And so when it came to growing your team, you spoke a little bit about you no longer do the work, you sort of oversee the business. How is that transition for you?
Well, it was always in the plan, actually. Basically, I started the business while I was pregnant, and I didn't take much maternity leave with my first. It wasn't timed, so we weren't financially ready. I worked in an agency that had no maternity plan at the time, and then when it came in, it was statutory, and we were not financially ready for me to do that. And I was the first of my friends, so I kind of knee-jerked and was like, no, it will be fine. I'll do flexible working. I'm going to go back to work after 8 weeks. And with my I ran myself into the ground. It was awful, and in the end, it didn't pay off. I was basically trying to control them making me redundant, and it happened anyway. It was nothing, and it was awful. It was not a pleasant experience at all. And so something I'm keen to always kind of flag is, like, I think as business owners, we think it would be better if we're in a corporate and get paid maternity leave, but there's so many that aren't like that. If you're in a big company, that's what it's like. If you're in a small business, it's statutory. It's the same. It's no money. It's far less than minimum wage, and you got a mortgage based on 2 incomes. A lot of families do. And all of this, and everything suddenly changes financially. So anyway, with my second, I think COVID had already happened, found myself jobless twice, and I was like, I'm taking maternity leave this time. I am not going to sacrifice that. And I'm actually, if I go back, it's when I'm ready, kind of thing. And I did. You're never fully switched off, but also I think as a business owner, that's just what you're like. I think after 2 babies, I finally embraced what my brain was like and how I worked. But it was always in the plan. In the summer, I was fully booked myself as a VA with clients, and I started talking to VAs out there who'd be interested in taking on my clients while I went on maternity leave. I took on 5 people, including one who was like my lead contact, to also look after them, look after the business, look after the clients, be the main contact, which was great because, and I knew her, we'd worked together before, and she's still on the team now and still that person. Her role has grown. But my second baby ended up very, very sick, and I did end up contactable for weeks. And so the best thing I'd ever did was plan for that basically, which is an awful thing to say. I didn't plan for that circumstance, but I planned for it. And I think you have to. And I think that is I'm not being awful, but you have to plan for your business that people just might not be able to contact you, and in a really good way. Because also I had such a high. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I was obsessed with my baby. And you've got a plan for either option to happen, and neither might happen, but you have to plan for that. And I think this is why we need to talk about motherhood and business, because that is just the reality. It was my husband who messaged my contact to tell her that I wasn't going to be around, not me, because I couldn't be on my phone. And I think that's really important to talk about. But yeah, back to the team. I went to 5 people because I didn't want to work 5 days a week. And at the time it was wrong. I thought as a VA, you had to be around 5 days a week for clients. It really depends on your client base, and you can absolutely work 3 days a week. You can choose your hours. If you want to go out and find those clients, you can absolutely do that. But I had this wrong mindset that clients would want you 5 days a week. It was very much from my old agency. I thought I'd have to be on call. Not a good frame of mind. But because of that frame of mind, I'm happy to say I was wrong. But because of that, I decided I was going to focus on building the business and bringing in team and seeing if I could get enough clients, enough team members in to pay myself an income a year later, basically.
Things sort of like slowly onboarding people into the business.
Yeah, as clients came, I'd bring the team in. It worked from there. I think I had 15 by the end. I've got my years. Yeah, maybe 15 people on 2021, I think. I need to check those numbers, but it was around that. January 2022 was the time the game changed for the business. I got like clients on who are still on now, ones that I was like, yes, this is what we need to work with, like great startup scale ups. Our name was getting out there. We won Best Newcomer VA when I was breastfeeding my child at 3 months old. And so we were starting to build up a bit of that name. I think the timing is right with COVID, just having a bit of a network that I was with. It went well. I think being able to focus that time on growth rather than being a new mum as well. And I had a lot of healing to do after almost losing our second child. So, my headspace outside of work was great, because work was something for me to focus on outside of like feeling frankly awful personally, and trying to be there for everyone outside of that. So I really enjoyed, I think, having that focus of like, right, I've got to grow this business. This is the option right now. And I think it worked. It was great. But and I had a goal, and I think having worked for startups before, that really helped me, because I knew processes are key. You can't just bring people on and not like give them the support they need. I think that's what, if people are building people businesses, that can be a mistake. You think you're just going to delegate the work and it will be done the way you would. That's how it is, and that's a good thing actually sometimes. But also, you often need to onboard people the right way, really know people. So it meant I could spend those time on processes, and then also start to outsource things with the business, like quite early on. Like, it's been many years since I've sent a contract. So early on, getting rid of stuff in the onboarding and offboarding process that I don't need to do, which I'm a huge fan of. I've got to practice what I preach, if that's what I'm telling other founders, business owners, they need to do.
Yeah, amazing. Onboarding can honestly make or break the whole employee experience. It sets the tone of the time they're working with you.
Yeah.
If you have a bad onboarding experience, chances are they most likely won't want to stick around.
Yeah, and even average, it's kind of like, that we're talking extremes here, but even just average, and even with your time, if you just try and predict the questions people are going to ask you and get ahead of that, people are still going to ask you questions. But if you do as much as you can to give them the information, rather than have them like just assume they know everything, I think that's something we can easily forget is so powerful for our time.
100%. And then when it comes to the type of work or services that your clients are looking for, what are your most popular services that you provide?
A whole range of services, but I say our 2 core services. I would say, firstly, there's still a need for that executive assistant support, that real one-on-one. So we're supporting someone, whether it is, I think also a lot with our female founders, which also shows maternal load. Our female founders really benefit from lifestyle support more than our male clients, who may be at the same life stage as them with little ones running around, but doing things like lifestyle, helping them make sure their kids' school uniform is ordered, that all the dates for the school are in the calendar, all of that stuff, really helping them be a success by taking that admin off their plate. I've done this myself, screenshot the school WhatsApp group and ask them to put it in the calendar, make sure they're free, make sure their husband's free, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, that really benefits. But then also with them, that will be business support, still traditional inbox management, diary management, just making sure we're taking off all that stuff so they can focus on the strategic part of that, whether it's their role or their business, whatever they're doing. They You just don't, not in your inbox 20 times a day. I think people, even with AI and stuff, it's not there yet. It can take over, and AI is a tool for us to use as assistants and take on more work, take on more clients, and just be able to do things quicker ourselves. So there's still that need for very traditional one-on-one support. And then the other is more operational, as I've mentioned, is just helping bring in standard operating procedures, making sure businesses are running smoothly. We've talked a lot about onboarding. That is such a key part of businesses that we can really help with, and managing the team, being a team support, because a lot of people, they'll have a team but they have a need for that in-house operations role, and we can do things like approve annual leave, make sure the team is running, and that sort from an admin perspective. So yeah, we do all of that, and we also do add-ons for our current clients. Bookkeeping, we have registered bookkeepers on it, so we do a lot of that. HR admin, and some content support as well. But our two key areas are more the traditional EA support and the operational support.
Amazing. I love that you do lifestyle support as well, because it takes a village, right?
And even if you have to pay for that village, like, that's fine. If you can afford to pay for that village, pay for that village.
It makes such a difference because, like you said, you can be more strategic. There was an era in my life where I was a nanny and the mom was at home. She was wonderful, but like she just needed someone to do, like, make dinner for the boys in the evening so that she had time to do like the strategic stuff. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. Love that for you.
No,
So
honestly, I have a cleaner once a week, and she's not just like, she doesn't just clean. She like helps me organize everything as well, because there is so much when you're a family, and it falls on you to keep everything. I'm like, I can't. Me and my husband both work from home a lot as well, so and we're in a London house, so we have all the space. But when you've got a family of four living here, working here, for your heads to be able to manage everything, you've got to get help if you in that position. And for me, we've not always been in the position, but that's just been our goals to work to be in a position to pay for that help.
amazing. And so, in terms of your own personal income source, is it all coming from Upsource, but you also have the podcast as well? Is that revenue?
Yeah,
Like, how do you
well,
fund your
how do I fund it? Upsource mainly, my 100%. But yes, I have been bringing Bump to Business Owner, which is more of a slow burner, because Upsource has to be my main focus. It's my main source of income. That's my business, baby. But the plan is with Bump to Business Owner to be revenue generating, testing ways with that. We've got our first sponsorship in December, so that's paid for a couple of months. Yeah. So we're starting to see the fruits of our labor. It was always going to be slower. It's not like a service-based business. If you're looking to start a business, is the best way to just make, if you're good at what you're providing as a service, it is the quickest way to make money. Like, there's much as people will try and tell you, don't listen to them. If you're providing a service, you're going to get paid for it, as long as you do a good job. And obviously, everyone has to take that risk with clients getting things. But yeah, Bump to Business Owner, it's a bit of a journey of finding out how that's going to be revenue generating. We've got more ideas coming in, but I would like to take more of an income from that, so I can pay people more to look after the business and outsource. So we'll see how it's really good as well for getting our brand out there, networking with people that I wouldn't necessarily network as part of Upsource. So it does complement the business as well.
Yeah. And you doing all of the podcasts yourself? Do you get someone to help you with that? Do you get someone from Upsource to help you?
Great. Yes. No, great question. If the work is virtual, it's always through Upsource. So I am my biggest user. So yeah, I have a wonderful team that help me with the podcast. And what I love about the podcast, it's always been collaborative, because I know how to use my team and VAs. I'm always keen to shout about, these aren't people to just outsource to. These are people to bring into your business and to say, like, talk about your goals. So it's been really collaborative since the beginning. I knew I could never start a podcast, with you. It's a lot of work. So I have Mary who edits it. They are all Upsource team members. Mary edits it. I've got Steph who helps me with the content and does everything for like the show notes, things like that. And I've got Rachel who helps me with the graphics and also some of the other admin bits of it. So yeah, we've got a lot slicker over the year and a half we've been doing it for now, and we're constantly like looking to improve things differently. But yeah, it takes 3 years apparently with podcast for it to be like that. So I think we've made some good progress. I think I'm passionate about the topic. I learned a lot through the guests on there, which you must feel as well. I passionately believe we discussed this. If we want more women to own businesses, we've got to talk about the motherhood penalty, because it is a penalty. And that's where in our country, we're seeing the gender pay gap is coming in when the motherhood comes in, and we can't all female leaders unless we're really thinking about the structure of how we manage motherhood and the infrastructure, as Rachel from Cora Kids would say, about things like childcare.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot more in sort of female founder circles, women specifically choosing businesses that are more like passive income led, like through digital etc. So it's less of a trading time situation.
It's dangerous territory because it's a lot of work. There's no such
It's
thing really as passive income. I mean, you wouldn't say to an author their book is passive income. They're an author, they're a writer, they've put in a huge amount of work, and that pays off if you write a great book. And that's the same with digital products. You're only going to get income if you're doing some great products, because there's so much out there, and you're good at what you do. I mean, taking someone like Lucy Legal, she sells legal templates. She's fantastic at what she does and put a lot of work into that and has excellent skills for it. And that's a great example of it, but she will not preach on about passive income because it's not passive, because she's worked for that. And so I'm very, I think actually I had someone apply for who's going to come on the podcast soon, and she's a client of ours, and she's never worked harder in her life. I think it's a damaging myth that mothers are doing lifestyle businesses or passive products. It also gets into the territory where people are actually just selling to other mothers in a hope and giving them false hope that they can earn money through that. So I'm quite passionate, about that's the kind of dark side of social media coming out there.
It almost feels like a pyramid scheme sometimes.
Yes. There's a lot out there, so be careful what you read and read it, but take in, because if there was a secret to making money through digital products, we would have all discovered this before motherhood. So they're just targeting people who are desperate, and I'm not bad mouthing anyone who's giving it a good go and trying, because I've been there, jobless twice in motherhood. I just think we should be going for the people who are at the top of the pyramid, basically.
Yeah, I hear it. So is there anything that you feel legitimately moves the needle for you in your business? Let's say new clients.
I have to say, I think going all in and putting it out there, because I think at the time I was doing it, my husband was like, don't need a website, you just need clients and things like that. And it's true to an extent, but I think going all in with the agency model and making it clear and sticking to that, because I think it's very easy when you're a great VA yourself, or great service provider yourself, and you get a great client that comes along and they want to work with you and only you, and it's very easy to be like, yeah, I'll just with them. And I think that's moved the needle for me, is having the frame of mind of what was my vision and my goal. What do I want my job to be? And I want to be the leader of the business, the growth person, the growing the business. And I think it's still hard sometimes. You can still sometimes get pulled in, like whether it's to covering a client, something like that. But as a founder, same with any business, you have to step yourself more and more away and trust people to do the work. And I think that is what moves the needle from being someone who's doing a job to being a business owner and founder, is that mindset and sticking with it.
Yeah, just trust.
A lot of work. It sounds easier said than done.
Last question I like to ask people in this segment of the show is, what did you want to be when you grew up as a kid? Because sometimes there's a link and then sometimes it's interesting to hear.
To be a Spice Girl.
Which one?
Any. They were all great. It's probably when I was young, I thought I just wanted to be a singer. That's all I wanted to do. But I thought that was all I was good at. And so I think that's always a really good learning, because I was average at school, average at everything. I didn't, and I was actually, my job didn't exist.
Yes, it's true.
I was going to run a PA agency. They were like, what? I have like no idea what it is. And, like a lot of PAs do fall into their roles. So I think some people look at how sports and CEOs are aligned. I think there's more looked at perform as well. And I'm actually really keen to get my kids into performing, not to go on and do it as a career because it's a really awful career, but it builds confidence. It teaches you how to speak in front of people, how to deal with knockbacks and pick yourself up and keep believing in yourself, even if things aren't going well. And there's so many parallels I can draw from that. And I think it's always that outcome. I had a lot of training as a child to be a business owner.
Yeah, no, that is fair enough. In a similar vein, I've not in performing arts, but my first job when I was 16 was I was a kids party host at a bowling alley. So I often think back and I was like, you know what? That is where I learned how to do public speaking.
And it's not even the kids, it's the parents. I'm sure we had to do it.
Literally, like how to just like appear like you know what you're talking about and have people like trust you, command a room. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Transferable skills. Cool. Yeah, thank you for sharing your business journey with us. So now we're gonna kind of dip into stuff that's a bit more fun and start talking about the things that make your life easier. The first question, do you have any songs that you play that just make you feel like hype?
Yeah, I definitely do. I'm struggling to think of them now. But musical theatre tends to get me quite hyped. But you can't go wrong with just real upbeat pop music. And I kind of like still love it. Like Sabrina Carpenter, such a fan of hers. I feel like I'm like a 20-year-old fangirl of her. But I think some music like that, I think always just female great pop songs through the decades from now all the way back, they will always get me hyped. Katy Perry, some of them are just so much fun and are just joyful, or even things like my little one loves dancing to things like the Venga Boys and stuff, and so now that's just bringing me joy that like stuff from my childhood is like coming back around. They're still joyful for little ones. So yeah, I think anything like that, I think you just can't beat a good old pop track that'll just get you hyped up.
Fair enough. It's funny that you mentioned that, like your like kids and the music they listen to. I've seen like TikToks and reels and things of parents who plan out a whole like music curriculums for their kids.
That is great. I need to do that. And I think that's it. I have such a lively household with two young boys. I'm actually more looking for songs to chill us out, calm us all down.
Yeah.
I've got like a relaxed bath time playlist, and my eldest is like, why are you always putting this on? I'm like, we just need some chill. Do you not feel chill? I feel chill.
You're like, for me, maybe not for you.
Yeah. And hopefully it's just chill them out. Yeah.
And then do you have any personal policies that keep you sane? The one that I always like to mention myself is that like I don't take calls before 10 a.m. Like that's just not gonna work.
Love that. No, I try to do that as well. So when I sit at my desk, 9 till 10 is just for me to get stuff in order, because normally if I run a people business, if shit's hit the fan, I find out about it before 9 a.m. So it's good to have that buffer time. I also have it after 2 o'clock so I can walk on the school. I have a lot of rituals actually when I talk about this. So I always try and walk the school run because it keeps me sane. A good long walk if I haven't been active, and the past few years it's been really hard to be active. I like classes and that's just really hard with kids, so I'm just big on that. Gratitude and manifest journaling. I've built a lot over the years as coping strategies for running a business, being a mum with PTSD, having to learn how to handle everything, and I just found it all works. It's not rubbish. That time for me, it helps me be there. I've got a team of almost 30 and 2 kids. I have to be the best self for them. So I fit in a lot of that. I think we even add in things. I've been starting doing magnesium before bed, seeing if that works. And reading. Oh my goodness, it's an aura ring. Have you heard of these? I'm now getting really excited. So this has just started showing me more data behind what I'm feeling, and this is great. And I've noticed that when I read, I get really relaxed. So I'm like, so really like making sure I read before bed, things like that. So yeah, the data from when I read is anything else is really shows I'm restoring myself. So it's interesting. So this is my new thing. It's my aura ring.
I love that. Okay, you're slowly convincing me.
Yeah, I know. I had 6 months. This was a Christmas present for my husband of 6 months. This is what I needed in my life.
Incredible. Are there any tech tools or apps that you swear by, whether for the business or even the podcast?
It's interesting for breath work and meditation. I love Insight Timer and Othership. They're my two go-to apps. I'm loving the Aura app, if I mentioned. I love that. And for me, I still am someone who has to stay organized. So ClickUp is my best friend. As a family, we actually use Notion. I have a Notion family dashboard, and we use it for our shopping list, with our cleaner, just a place to keep everything on. And you can also like then PDF things and send them to family if I need like a night, send the bedtime routine to a new babysitter or something like that. So I use that, and that's been really good as a family to bring in. So yeah, they're my like, for my organizational side, ClickUp and Notion. For my mindfulness side is Othership and Insight Timer.
And then I'm always just curious for selfish reasons, but what do you use for like filming and editing the podcast?
Well, I don't do that. That's why I don't think about that. Filming the podcast, we use Riverside, and we only just changed to that end of last year. It's been a process. I managed to not press record one time, which was not fun, and I hope to never do again. But we were using Zoom before, and PR agency just gave us a few recommendations, and they recommended Riverside. This is great, by the way. I'm liking what we're using here. And we also use, at the minute, Libsyn for hosting. I don't know whether we are going to use that moving forward. It's been great, but we're just seeing what might work long term, if we want to put some ads in, things like that, just to have a bit of revenue to pay for the team that do it. So we're using Libsyn at the minute.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and Riverside is good for editing. So that's what we edit in as well. I can't remember what she was using before, but we also use something called Clipso for clips from the podcast. Really good. Uses AI. So it's actually quite a good one.
Interesting. Yeah. I use Descript on my side.
Yeah.
So we're just filming in Descript at the moment, which does the
Descript. No, that's good. I've heard of it. I just haven't been a guest on it. So this is good to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I've only had a close hiccup once, but it fixed itself after a lot of trial and error. So far, so good. I nearly went on Riverside. I was already paying for Descript. The only bit they didn't have was this remote recording bit, and then they launched it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just stick with this because it also has thing with AI. So I was like, great, just stay here.
No, fair enough. Yeah, don't. As a VA agency, don't overload your tech stack if you don't need to.
Absolutely. Let's talk style. Do you feel like you have a uniform that you wear? You said you work from home. So let's go with work from home. What's your work from home uniform? Any brands you specifically like?
Jeans and a nice top tends to be that. I sometimes, more if I'm due my period or something, lounge around, but I mean, I have to do the school run anyway, and it's just not me to like not be dressed well. I think sometimes I've got to my age, I've had 2 kids, you like this red lipstick you see today, that's just me. It's part of me. And everyone who sees me every day will tell you that. So I think that's kind of my style, is always make sure I've got good lip on, wear jewelry, not what I have today because earrings clang on the headphones. If you it's just if you're wearing headphones, they make a noise. I think I just always try and keep it simple, try and choose my clothes the night before and not complicate things. Decision fatigue is a thing, and I don't want to have too much of that with my clothes, so I could probably do with having another clear out, but I tend to keep it quite simple really with my style, and just try and stick to what I know.
Yeah, no, decision fatigue is such a real thing. I recently just sort of invested a lot in shapes that I know that I like on myself. So 9 times out of 10, especially when it's cold, you will see me in a turtleneck of some sort. I raided the sale of this brand called Not Basics, which had a ton of it's female founder, and it's all cotton based, so like no polyester
Good
stuff.
for you.
Like I'm just gonna live in these turtleneck bodysuits and wear them every single day.
I think if it works for you, it works for you. I always have such respect for people I know who just stick to a black wardrobe, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. And then I end up seeing color, then buying it. I'm like, oh, I could do better with that.
Yeah. Amazing. And then when it comes to, let's talk beauty. So one thing for your face, and one thing for your care that you like kind of stick to? Could be a product or a routine.
Yeah, I'm huge on my skin. I think it was a real journey. I don't always have the best skin. It's quite hormonal led, and I live in London, so I think it can take a toll on my skin. I'm like older apparently. I think also when I was in like a bad state mentally with pregnancy and stuff, I didn't look after myself always, or it's a struggle. So if I have a really good skin routine, I'm in a good place, taking care of myself. So I have a lot of things. I love Ren. It's good for the planet. It's gel cleanser. It's the best cleanser, I feel. So I feel like a really good cleanser to take everything off is must have. If I achieve one thing, I've got to take everything off at night. So a really good gel based cleanser, great moisturizer, because my skin gets dehydrated. But actually, there's so many skincare products, but I also love a rose spritz, and I hydrate my face all the time. My skincare routine is a bit of a process. So I normally start as soon as like done for the day, whatever it is, whether it's picking the kids up or their bath time. I start and I do a gel cleanse, double cleanse, and always have a spritz. And I'll work out my skin throughout the evening. So that's my main thing for my body. Interesting one. I'm not like, again, maybe it's just that will come in time. I'm not hugely religious with anything, but I guess putting magnesium on has been like a thing, and it's really good for sleep, good for hair. My hair's pretty rubbish at the minute, so I really could invest again. It's just a good deep conditioner. I think that's something I just need to do every so often. So for my hair, so magnesium for the body because it'll help you sleep. I think, yeah, like with my needing to moisturize my face, I also need to moisturize my hair.
Yeah, preach. There it is. And then when it comes to ads, I feel like you can always tell a lot about a person by the ads that they're getting. Are you getting fed ads for anything at the moment?
Oh, I'm getting fed an ad by an ex-employer at the minute, and it's driving me crazy.
Oh no. Stress.
And it is obviously I'm their target market, but it's just really irritating me because I'm like, can you just leave me alone, guys? Is the ads I'm getting. Otherwise it's a mix. I still get a lot of like baby ads at me. I think probably a lot of supplements and a lot of things to do with organizing. You can definitely tell I'm a business owner by the ads I get, I think. Keeping myself organized.
What is it? The Motion app? Calendar thing?
Motion app. Yes, they've pulled off a bit, but now we've mentioned it, I'm sure my phone will pick it up. But Motion was one for a while that kept hounding me. I tell you what, even like I never buy, no respect to anyone who does, but they're terrible for the planet. I never buy Sheen. They know that, and so they're constantly targeting me as well because they just clearly know I'm not a customer.
Gosh, yeah, I luckily don't know what that is, and hopefully I don't get
Yeah, it's just that fast fashion brand, like the
fast. Yeah.
I've never bought off them and don't intend to, for the record.
And so now we're going to learn a bit more about your little personal guide to London. So first off, which area of London do you live in? Like north, east, south?
North. And I didn't know I was one, and my husband told me I was one, and then apparently I became a North London. I blame the fact he supports Arsenal and he's just up in this direction.
Fair enough. No, also from an Arsenal household. And yeah, Arsenal.
The pain.
Hard. Yeah.
And also, so I do love, now I'm a North Londoner, it's easier to live a little bit further out but still have great transport links that are actually great. Like I know people who say they live on the train, sorry anyone, not to offend anyone who lives on the train, but who love saying you're just 15 minutes outside of London, and then it's like, yeah, but you're royally screwed then. You can't get a taxi and it'll be affordable if there's no train or something happens, which is London, it always does. So yeah, I very much enjoy being near a tube.
Yeah, and even on the Northern Line, you can get some really interesting, like it goes out really far. I ended up, when I was moving to London, I was looking at, it was basic like a village. It was something and it had a W in it or something, but I was like, am I still in London? Because this is...
I do that just driving a little bit out, and I'm like, am I a village? Where am I? And it's still London apparently, and I'm like, it's really nice to feel like you can literally just drive down the road. This is not London, but it is apparently.
Do you have anything on your London bucket list at the moment that you wanted to?
Yeah, I have so much. I still haven't been to Sketch. I feel like that's a really lame bucket list, but I really want to go there for some reason. I mean, just so many restaurants. I think me and my husband love to go out and eat nice food and drink. And I love the theatre, and that's what I love about London. Always going to be something that comes up that I want to see, and that fills me with joy. I like to go regularly to the theatre, regularly as I can, as a business owner and mum. But I think there's always going to be restaurants I want to eat at here. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything hugely strong. I've not been to the top of the Shard, so maybe that's something I'll get round to in like 20 years' time, probably. I think I quite like eating in high up places as well. That's quite fun.
I know what you mean. I went to like Joya, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, in Battersea Power Station. It's like at the top of the Power Station the other day.
No, good.
I literally had a cup of tea, but vibes. So
vibes. Good. No, and Sushi Samba, I feel like I've never been there and I should go there. So that's one I've never been to. But I think, again, I'd want to go in the city one. But yeah, there's so many places that you can just hunt out, or new ones opening, even in Soho. It's always nice to just be like, oh, okay, I've not been here. I've never been in the garden, in the walkie-talkie. That's something I should do as well. But I think with kids, I'll get there eventually to that one. That's what's quite nice about having kids as they get older. You're like, oh, I just fancy afternoon tea here. Come with me.
Boys as well. It's like, why are we here? You're like,
yeah, no, but there's cake. One of them has a real sweet tooth, so if I feed him cake, he'll come with me.
Are there any like food spots that you find yourself going back to?
Me and my husband have a bit of a curse about our wedding. So our wedding venue, after venue closed down, which was in Shepherd Market in Mayfair, which had been there for years, it closed down, which has made me really sad because I loved it. It was just a great French restaurant, and just like what you'd expect from a French restaurant. I loved it. But now every year we go to the Delaunay. What's it called? The Terrace at the Delaunay. Really nice restaurant. So hopefully it doesn't close down. Sorry if it does. That's my fault. I love going there. My favourite area in central London is Shepherd Market area. That's where me and my husband met. I was very lucky to live there very briefly. That area is lovely. And we went to a great dinner there in December, a place called Maru. It's definitely an experience and something to save up for, but that is one to watch. It's tiny. It's a theatrical 20-course dining experience, but it's lovely. I won't be going back there anytime soon, but I wish I was. But it was amazing. On the other end of the scale was that one. But yeah, I just love going to these areas, and because there's still, even in central London, like little restaurants that you don't know, that they're the ones I like discovering, are the ones that aren't, your huge ones like Sexy Fish or something that everyone knows about. I like finding the smaller ones. But yeah, gutted if Le Bouillon Blanc wants to open up again somewhere.
Okay. And then coffee, are you a coffee or a cafe person at all?
Well, I've got to advertise my local. It's called Hot Milk. Great cafe. If anyone's in North London, actually, my colleague is probably the best person to ask. She's got a coffee place in Portugal. She knows everything. She even knows where to go in London for coffee. And now I've turned into a bit more. I'd rather have a really nice coffee. So yeah, just finding ones that you can tell a nice coffee place now in London. Ones that are like smaller. Where's the one? I went to one behind Bond Street that was really nice. Can't remember the name of it, but yeah. And Ozone is quite nice as well if you're in Old Street, somewhere more central. But I had to give a shout out to the local because they're nice.
Amazing. And then are you part of any like networking groups or member clubs anywhere?
Yeah, so I've been a member since the beginning with Female Founders Rise. I love what Emily Faust is doing. There's a lot of women I've met locally through there as well that I just see on the school run, which is really nice, and met clients through her. So she's doing a great thing for women in business. The events in London are great, and in Hammersmith are really easy to get to, and then a female founded venue. I'm a member of Albright currently. It's been great to have that base. Just when I go into London, I'm still exploring where the best to be is and where to go. But it's so central, and I've met some amazing women at Albright as well. So that's been a nice spot to be a member at. I don't know. I tend to just ride other people's memberships. But I think in my 20s I would have said so house, but I feel like I'm probably getting too old for that now.
It's having an interesting moment at the moment. I will say
yes, that's what everyone says. That's what everyone says. I think everyone wants the good old days of when we were under 30.
I mean, I've never been a member, but I've been to some amazing events personally. But yeah, I don't know truly what. Yeah, it seems like people who are members are perhaps not the happiest with the experience at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just London, because I've been to like Babington House and Somerset, and I was like, this is a vibe. So I don't know. Maybe it's just
London. There's less choice in Somerset, isn't there? I think with London, there's so much choice, and you've just got to find somewhere where you're going to spend time and you're going to like the people there. Go somewhere because people who you don't hang out with say it's good. You have one life here. Don't spend time at some achingly cool or achingly posh club because you think you should be there, unless it's good for your business. I get it. Go and deal with it. Otherwise, where you feel a great vibe. And that's what I also liked about Albright. It's like, I didn't particularly like that it was only women. In some ways I did, but for Upsource, that's not my client base. We have a 50-50 gender split for clients, men and women. But what I did like is, I can meet my brother there for lunch and it was fine. It didn't feel like it was women only in like an old boys club would be. It was perfectly normal to bring your male colleagues or male friends there. So that's what I did quite like about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It is really nice in there, to be fair. But
it looked nice as well, so that helps. So maybe I will renew my membership. We'll see. I'm undecided. I'm open for memberships right now.
There's someone that just needs to launch a little day pass, like almost like class pass, but for like all of the
I have. There is someone doing that. I will send you a link because I haven't tried it, so I don't want to recommend them, but I can see someone trying to do that. I'll send you the link afterwards.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing your London recommendations there. Now I like to sort of wrap things up with a few questions. And the first one is, when was the last time you were proud of yourself? Could be a small win or big win. And when was the last time you were proud of someone else in kind of the London female founder hub?
That's such a nice question. I love that question. I'm proud of myself. I think that's a fairly easy one. I've got on the Goldman Sachs growth program. I started in February, and it was a bit of a journey getting there because the first time they weren't, they wanted to make sure we were a growth business, and it really made me put in some work about the business, about what I wanted for my life and things like that. And I think I let myself feel intimidated on the first interview. So I was really proud of myself. But then the second time around, I was like, no, I know my business. I know the industry. I know this. And it's just felt like a moment of growth for me, not just getting accepted, but also being like, no, I know what I'm doing, and giving myself permission to not fall back into old younger Caroline habits kind of thing. So I'll give that to myself. And proud of the female founder community. Oh my gosh, this honestly, I can't lie. There's just so many women doing amazing things out there, and there's so many to choose from. I'm always proud of our clients. One has made a really big decision about her business coming up this summer. Tala's going to be for her, and she's done amazing things and can now move on to her next journey. And I think there's always a great source of pride in that. And she's really invested in outsourcing our home help. And I just think that's so powerful. I don't want to give away her name and confidential, but I'm so proud of her for making that decision. It's quite inspiring to know when it's time to walk away from something. I think actually I know a couple of female founders who've walked away in different ways, and I think there's such pride to be taken in knowing when it's time to walk away from something.
Yeah, do something else. Life is short. If you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to do it.
Exactly, and or have a get out plan for something, to doing something else. And and it also makes you can be too passionate about your business. That is a thing, because you start self-destructing. So I think it gives you perspective as well, of knowing that you can walk away if it's not right.
Interesting. And then last question, is there anything that you would like to plug? And is there anything that you need help with at the moment? You never know who's listening.
Oh, never know who's listening. It's interesting. Okay, got it. So with Upsource, we are always available for clients. Come to me and have a chat. If you've worked with a BA, never worked with a BA, working with a BA, and actually not sure if you're doing the right things. That's the beauty of working with an agency. I can bring that external perspective into it. So I'm always happy to chat with people about the VA industry, or if I haven't put you off and you're interested in working in the VA industry, do come and chat to me. Always looking for great team members. And I think with the business, Goldman Sachs, I'm going to get a lot of help soon. I think I'm going to be overwhelmed with it. So I won't be there, but I've also got a podcast. So listen to that. We're on Spotify, Apple, Bump to Business Owner. Do you support it? Because female founders need to be supported, but also especially mothers or ones who are going to have that as part of their journey. We do need to be talking about that more. We are always looking for people who want to invest in the podcast, sponsor us, partner with us, come and have a chat, and we can see how we can work together there. So that's an area.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
But so on LinkedIn, I'm Caroline Marshall. We are Upsource for all our virtual assistant handles, and also on Instagram, I am Bump to Business Owner, and I just talk more about the motherhood and business journey there.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you, Frances. Really appreciate it. Great second day back to work vibes.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Coffee and Oysters. As a reminder, all of the recommendations will be in the show notes in the Coffee and Oysters guide. To never miss an episode, make sure you are subscribed on Substack or are following us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And keep those 5-star ratings coming. And don't let me scream into a void. You can get involved directly on Instagram or TikTok at Coffee and Oysters Pod, or you can email us directly at coffeeandoysters@gmail.com. Details in the show notes as always. See you in a couple weeks.